y'all. So today we're going to look at, it's not really a question that's been asked by somebody, but a statement that was made that is quite common for me as a hypnotherapist. So we're going to be looking at it from that perspective in the Ask a Hypnotherapist Anything. And last week I had the opportunity to be a guest on the Burnham podcast with Danny Burnham. And I'll put a link to the episode below down in the comments or in the description. And in that episode, we talked about hypnosis, hypnotherapy, what it is, what it's not, that kind of thing. And we dove pretty deep into some of it and how we do hypnotherapy now, and based off of the teachings of Dr. Milton Erickson. And we got into some of the mechanics of it and that kind of thing. So, if you're interested in diving deeper into what hypnosis is and what it's not, that's a good episode for you to check out. And I encourage you to do that. And with that, like with a lot of things, he's taken the clips from that and posted those as shorts and little bits and snippets from the podcast episode, to encourage other people to watch it. And in one of those, I know you're not supposed to read comments and go to the comment section and all that kind of stuff, and I don't generally do that. It just was a comment that I saw in passing on one of those shorts. And the commenter came on there and they just said that, hypnosis is pseudoscience. And that's all they said. And in their defense, that is a common claim made by many about hypnosis and hypnotherapy. It's often labeled as a pseudoscience from people that are not familiar or uneducated on the topic. And so the first step that we need to take to understand another person's point of view is by agreeing on the definition of terms used. And since it was a drive-by comment and they didn't leave any other information on it, we don't really know how they're defining that term that they're using. But so here's a working definition for that term pseudoscience. Basically, pseudoscience is finding a system of explanation that's presented as science but lacks the rigor essential to a scientific method. And so with that definition in mind, I want to look at that statement as pseudoscience. And this critique that was left there, it overlooks actually the principles of scientific inquiry and the growing body of evidence that we have supporting the efficacy of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So let's use the scientific method and unwrap that statement that hypnosis is pseudoscience. Well, what defines a scientific discipline? Well, science, again, definition of terms, by definition involves the systematic study of the natural world through observation, through experimentation, through analysis. So it's based on observable phenomena. It develops a testable hypothesis based on that phenomena. And then it utilizes these repeatable experiments to validate or to refute that hypothesis. Then it adapts theories based on that empirical evidence. So when we evaluate hypnotherapy against these criteria, it becomes clear that labeling it as a pseudoscience is a mischaracterization. because there's observable phenomena in hypnotherapy. You know, it involves observable changes in behavior, emotional states, and even neurological patterns. You know, we have modern imaging technology now, like a functional MRI, fMRIs, and EEGs that have demonstrated measurable changes in the brain activity during hypnosis. You know, hypnosis has been shown to alter activity in the anterior cingulate cortex. That's the place in the brain that involves pain perception. Hypnosis is an excellent tool for alleviating and changing the perceptions of pain. And so this correlates with studies showing that hypnosis is effective in managing pain. The brain scans reveal differences in how individuals process these suggestions under hypnosis versus the same suggestions under a normal waking state. And these measurable changes have provided a scientific basis for studying the mechanisms of hypnotherapy. So we have observable phenomena. We have testable hypotheses in hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy generates this testable hypothesis, such as, can hypnosis reduce the perception of chronic pain? Or does hypnosis improve outcomes for relief in anxiety or PTSD? Or another one, can hypnosis effectively support someone who is looking to stop smoking? And there's been countless studies conducted on these topics and many more that have consistently tested and refined our understanding of hypnosis. A published article in the Journal of the International Journal of Clinical and Experimental Hypnosis showed that hypnotherapy significantly outperformed control groups in getting rid of anxiety. There's research in the Lancet medical journal publication that demonstrates hypnosis is a valuable adjunct to traditional anesthesia for reducing pain during surgery. And these are just a couple of studies that show that the scientific method has been applied to hypnotherapy. So we have observable phenomena, we have a testable hypothesis, we've had repeatable experiments to validate the effectiveness of hypnotherapy. You've got scientific disciplines that rely on repeatable experiments, and hypnotherapy meets this criterion. You know, with smoking cessation, repeated trials have shown that hypnosis increases quit rates compared to no intervention, compared to placebos, that it's been more effective. Studies have shown when it comes to pain management in various contexts, you know, in childbirth and cancer treatment and chronic conditions, consistently show that hypnosis reduces that pain perception. In the areas of stress and anxiety relief, these controlled studies find that hypnosis decreases stress. It decreases those markers of stress in the body, such as cortisol levels, in repeatable clinical settings. And the ability to replicate these results underscores that hypnotherapy has a scientific foundation. And then we adapt our theories with empirical evidence. So science involves changing with new evidence. And as new evidence emerges, then we change the theories. And hypnotherapy is no exception. Early views of hypnosis as a mystical woo-woo phenomena have been replaced by modern neuroscience-backed models. And they explain how focused attention, suggestion, and dissociation have influences on our brain function. You know, the advances that we've made in neuroscience now attribute to the effects of hypnosis to specific brain mechanisms, including reduced activity in the default mode network, the DMN, which governs self-referential thinking. Hypnotherapy adapts as evidence refines our understanding of its mechanisms, its mechanics. It aligns better with scientific principles. And so hypnotherapy is science-based. It's not pseudoscience. It meets the core criteria of the scientific method. It studies that observable phenomena. It develops and tests hypotheses over and over. It produces repeatable results. And it evolves based on empirical evidence. So just blatantly dismissing hypnosis and hypnotherapy as pseudoscience ignores decades of rigorous research and its practical applications in the medical field, in mental health, in personal development areas. So those that dismiss hypnotherapy as a pseudoscience often misunderstand its scientific foundation and the wealth of evidence that we have supporting how effective it is. So rather than rejecting hypnotherapy outright, maybe approaching it with a balanced view allows others to recognize its strengths and its limitations. You know, it's not a cure-all, it's not a fix-all. It does have limitations, but we can recognize the effectiveness and the limitations within this framework of evidence-based practices. I hope this helps. If you have any other questions or comments or statements, I'd be happy to, take a look at those and dive a little deeper with you. All right, we'll see you in the next video.